Alright, so, it's Nicole here again, and I'm joined with
Maythe, what's up?
And we're just making it through another day here in quarantine. How's your week been?
Just hanging in there, working out, doing a whole lot of nothing other than that. And surviving, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. It's been a rough couple of weeks for me. Been having some little crying sessions, but I'm making it. You gotta just take it day by day.
I'm with you on that crying thing, though.
Yeah.
I had like a little breakdown earlier today. I'm like, okay. You know how you just feel like you need to cry?
Mm-hmm.
Like for no particular reason? That was me. I feel like anybody out there, y'all need to cry, just let it out. Because you'll feel amazing right after.
I mean, I just want to say this. Any fellow Brittana fans are out there and you're essential workers and you're doing it day after day, like, I feel you and I'm right there with you and I hope you're okay. Because I know we're all going through the ringer and, yeah, just know I'm pulling for you.
For sure. Y'all got this. We're going to make it through. Yeah. I know it's easier said than done, but y'all really do got it, and we appreciate y'all. Not all of us are mean, but we appreciate y'all.
There's a lot of assholes, and they don't really understand the pressure and the stress of being out there day after day, probably 8 hours a day, dealing with, like, angry and ignorant crowds. It's just, yeah. In my last little episode, I was talking with Giraffes Eat Trees, and she ended our little conversation with, like, a word to the fandom, and she said, treat everybody like they're one word away from having a breakdown. That's what we need to do.
Yes.
So, y'all know...
And if y'all need somebody to talk to, we're right here.
Yeah, I don't know how much help I would be, but you know what? If you're just feeling some type of way and just need to get something off your chest, like, come hit me in the DMs, go hit Maythe in the DMs, and, like, we're all going through it, so I think, you know, there's a common understanding there, so. And y'all know how I don't like angst. I don't like feeling raw like that. You know, I believe that laughter is the best medicine, and that's why I always write it. And so, hopefully, this episode will give you something to laugh about. Yeah, so me and Maythe are just gonna start spewing out some of our unpopular Glee opinions, which I don't know if they're gonna be all unpopular, but let's see. So I've said this before on my blog, but Santana should have slept with Cassandra July instead of Quinn.
You told me about this one time.
It just makes sense. But see, I think they would have gotten along really well because they're all about brutal honesty. And instead of Santana sleeping with Quinn in I Do, the show should have found a reason for Cassandra to be tagging along with Kurt and Rachel to the wedding. And yeah, that's far-fetched, but like everything about Glee is far-fetched. So instead of a lonely Quinn at the bar, Santana finds herself like getting chummy with a lonely Cassandra, and then bam. I think it would have been way better than this whole Cassandra, Brody, Rachel's like triangle tension thing. Plus, if Santana became Cassandra's like booty call or whatever, then that then that would have been a reason for Santana to be hanging out at Nyada.
You see, that's probably why I can't see it, because I've never seen them, like, interact. They never clashed, right? Ever in...
Cassandra and Santana?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they never interacted at all, which doesn't make sense to me.
You would think because when she did the cold-hearted performance, somehow Cassandra would have been there.
If Cassandra and Santana were, like fuck buddies or something, that would just, like, make Rachel be all up in her feelings because here's her friend sleeping with her, like, new nemesis almost. Yeah, she would be feeling some type of way. And then it would also show Santana, like, battling, do I side with my friend here, or do I just, like, keep having fun with this hot person who just happens to make my friend feel like crap?
Dang, that would have been a double slap in the face to Rachel, though. Because first, she, like, basically told her about Brody, and then she's just gonna go mess around with Cassandra. That would have been, like, double hitter right there. See, now that you're saying it more, I can actually, like, picture it. You're right. That would have been dope. It would have been dope.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a way for us to explore the Pezberry friendship. So, my unpopular opinion right there, Santana should have had, like, a very brief fling with Cassandra July, and it would have been, one, it would have been hot, but it would have also driven Rachel mad, which is, like, a bonus.
Well, my unpopular opinion, which you know, and I've said already in, like, the first episode, probably, I stand the whole Santana and Quinn hooking up thing. And it could have been a good storyline if they would have handled it a little more differently. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. I feel like if it wasn't just because Quinn was feeling a ways about whatever the hell she was doing over there in Yale, and Santana wasn't hung up on Brittany, I feel like it could have been really good. Because if you think about it, the build-up from season 1 from their friendship, even though we didn't see too much, it's implied that there's always been, like, this rivalry again with the two. And it's kind of like a build-up of, it could have been like, oh, well, Quinn always kind of secretly had a thing for Santana, but she knew that Santana was all about Brittany, you know?
One thing I noticed, like, a while back when I was rewatching season 4, which was ages ago, is, like, whenever Santana goes back to Lima, she's almost always sharing scenes with Quinn. In the scenes that they share, there's, like, subtle hints that they're gonna hook up. Or that something is there, at least. When Santana confronts Quinn about Kitty, there's that scene at the piano, and they're, like, they're, you know, giving each other, like, sass and bitchy comments and all that. But there's this scene where, it's, like, so tiny, but, like...
I feel like I know which one you're talking about.
Quinn is stroking the piano.
Yes! And Santana looks at it.
Yeah.
She's, like, looking at her.
Yeah, Quinn is, like, seductively stroking the piano with her fingers. And the camera, it catches Santana, like, staring down at her fingers. And it's just like, what is that?
I always caught that, and I'm like, this feels like really, like, heavy, like, sexual energy over here. Like, what is happening? Have you ever read the fic of, what happens if Brittany never walked in?
No.
I read a fic where this is what would have happened if Brittany never walked in after they slapped each other. And it's like, straight up smut.
Oh, dang.
I'm telling you.
Oh, dang.
Yes. And I was like, whoa.
Maybe send that to me?
Gotcha.
Another scene in season 4 that I feel like showed there was something bubbling there is Quinn and Santana go to New York to talk to Rachel about appearing nude in that play or movie or something. There's mention of Santana and Brittany's sex tape. And if you notice, the camera, it, like, cuts to Quinn, and she, like, I don't know, she's sitting down, but she does this weird little thing with her head, and then she casts her eyes downwards, and it's just like, there's mention.
She watched it.
That's my headcanon.
Well, look, if you were in Quinn's shoes, tell me you wouldn't watch it.
I mean,
you're lying if you say you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, you know which scene when they were showing Kitty and Marley and all the other Glee girls, their routine when they were about to sing Come See About Me? I don't know if you ever noticed, but Quinn does like a little side eye when Santana was talking about how they're always in sync, that they can see what the other person is doing before they actually do it.
She says, I could look at Santana and tell when she was gonna, like, shimmy this way or shimmy that way. She's talking about her, Santana, and Brittany, but I feel like it's sort of pointedly, that remark was at Santana. And
Santana, yeah. I kind of always forget that Brittany's even in that scene. Like, she doesn't really say much in that scene anyways.
You know what I will always want? I wanted, like, a proper Quinn-Brittany friendship. Like, I wanted exploration of that.
We never really got that.
Like, Santana has a relationship with Quinn, and Santana has a relationship with Brittany, but the two of them don't have a relationship with each other, at least on screen, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen, like, Quinn and Brittany. You know, I wish Quinn was at the wedding.
I would really have loved to have seen like, I guess this is me, like, I guess this is, like, fandom stuff informing my view of them, but I would have really liked to see Santana, like, in the dressing room, getting ready, and Quinn sort of there, like, you and her finally doing it. Like, this encouraging little speech of, like, Quinn saying, you know, I always knew you two were gonna work it out in the end, and that we'd get here.
You know, that's what kind of really bothers me about Glee writers is, like, they build up this whole thing of, them three always being together, and, you know, they were, like, the enemies at one point of the Glee Club, and it's, like, implied that they're all best friends, but we never have, like, a moment of Quinn talking, like, we don't have a moment of when Santana was outed and Quinn comforting her, because I feel like Quinn is the one that knows them two the most out of everybody, you know? Mm-hmm. She's the one that would have caught their relationship way before anybody else would have caught it, you know?
Yeah, she probably knew before anybody else did. And so, yeah, I would have really wanted that, like, at the wedding. It's just Quinn being there and being supportive and being like, my girls are making it official. So here's my next unpopular Glee opinion, and that is Blaine isn't an amazing singer. Okay, so let me just state my case here. So he's a very adequate singer, but he's not some sensational powerhouse like his fans want to believe he is. The reason why I can overlook odd character inconsistencies in Rachel and Santana and Mercedes is because they have truly gorgeous voices, and I believe them as powerhouses, you know? But I'm not wowed by his voice, and so therefore I'm not captivated, like, when he's on screen.
I get that. To counter that, another unpopular opinion, I don't think Kurt is a great singer either. And as much as I love Kurt, it just like with Darren, it wasn't hitting with me, you know? Like, he was okay. He was tolerable.
No, I totally get you, because I love Kurt as well. However, his voice is an acquired taste. It sounds lovely if he's given the right songs.
I agree. It's mostly like, much like Rachel and / Leah Mchale, his voice is very Broadway to me. When he did the, the Whitney Houston tribute, and he did that song that he sang to Blaine or whatever, I was so mad about it. I'm like, you guys wasted a good Whitney Houston song.
Yeah.
And gave it to Kurt. And I was like, I was so annoyed, because his voice is really high pitched, and, like, you didn't need all of that for a Whitney song, you know?
One song I did, like, off the top of my head, that I think, I really enjoyed his voice, and I think it worked. And I think Darren sounded really decent and good on it as well. Okay, so it's that scene where Kurt is at the music shop and he runs into Blaine and Karofsky. It's Too Late.
Yes. I do remember now.
I like that song. I own that song. And I don't buy a ton of, like, songs that Blaine is featured on, but I thought that was a good fit for both of them.
I was about to say, you bought a Blaine song?
Yeah, I have a couple. I have Cough Syrup, and I have Somewhere Only We Know.
Cough Syrup is fire. I love his cover of that. He did amazing on that one. I will say that one. That one really gets me, like, he made me feel something for real. I don't know if it was just because of the episode and the scene that was happening while he was singing it, but that cover really makes me feel things. Again,
I am not a big Darren or Blaine fan. However, like, that song, he nailed it. It's all a matter of, like, getting the right characters paired with the right type of song, and that was, like, a perfect fit.
For sure. Let's see, another unpopular opinion. I'm on BuzzFeed and I'm looking at some of these, and I don't know if I agree with them. Okay. Oh, I see this one a lot. Even though Sebastian and Santana were both gay, they have more chemistry than any of actual couples. I see this a lot. I do not agree with this at all.
I have some feelings about this. When I see that scene and I'm like, just like, whoa, what is going on here? See, to me, it's not even Santana and Sebastian. I just think Naya and Grant Gustin, as, like, actors, have amazing chemistry. And I don't think the writers were trying to do anything. I think that was just, like, magic. I think it just sort of happened.
I don't know. I don't see the the chemistry during that performance. To me, I'm like, oh, the performance is overall is fire.
Mm-hmm.
The setup, the cellos in the middle, Santana with her outfit, you know, the attitude of it is dope. But like, it's not like I don't see sexual chemistry. I see like just two people that are like just really good at what they're doing, you know. And they fed off the energy, and that was it. But like when people are like, oh, there's so much sexual energy in the room when they were doing that performance, they should hook up. I'm like, where? Not even, like, I don't even see it even if they were straight. I couldn't see it, you know? That's just me, though. I don't know. Also, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. That's a whole nother subject. So I was, like, solely concerned about how it sounded more than how the performance was actually done.
Okay, so this is random. On my way home, I heard the original version of Bad on the radio, and just inside, I was just like, you know what? Santana's version is better.
Naya and Kevin killed it on that song. I could have done without Darren in it.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just another opinion. They did really good in that episode. All the songs, I think they nailed everybody who sang each song. They nailed it perfectly.
Okay, so since we brought up Sebastian, here is, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but it's one of my opinions. Here's the thing about ensemble TV shows is you always need that one character in the friend group to be the asshole. I don't know if you're familiar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but in season 1 through 3, there's a character named Cordelia Chase. And she's kind of a bitch, queen bee. At the end of season 4, she leaves the show and she moves to the Buffy spin-off Angel. And she has like this whole growth arc over there. And she becomes like a real good guy. She becomes a hero, and she's one of my favorite characters. But the showrunner of Buffy has said when Cordelia left the main show, the series lost something. And that's because we needed that voice. We needed that bitch voice in the group to sort of rile things up and make the show interesting. And so that's why the showrunner brought in Spike, who is kind of a reluctant hero. And he's kind of an asshole, but one you kind of fall in love with and want to root for. And so I think that's what was missing from season 4 is Lima's side didn't have an asshole, and it needed an asshole. I don't think Kitty was like a really good fit for that. Like, I don't think she was a great villain. So, you know, at the start of season 4, we have all these characters, both old and new, vying for like the role of the next Rachel. My idea is like, I think season 4 would have been so much better if at the very end of episode 1, in struts Sebastian Smythe, and it's sort of revealed in like a quick little information dump. His parents were fed up with his attitude and wanted him to be more humble, and so they enrolled him as a junior at McKinley. And so you have like Unique and Tina and Blaine and Sam and all of them looking at each other, and they're like, oh crap, we spent this whole episode wondering who's going to be the new Rachel. We should have been more worried about who's going to be the new Santana. Sebastian would have been a better asshole or new Santana, at least for the Lima side.
But like, it wouldn't be like a villain, because I never considered Santana as a villain either.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, Santana was super cruel, and the show worked to sort of redeem her and make her more human, and I feel like Sebastian could have had that sort of same gradual journey. Instead of Blaine crushing on Sam, we could have had Sebastian crushing on Sam. Instead of like Brittany hanging out with Sam, she could have just started hanging out with Sebastian, because you remind me of Santana. We could have had Sebastian rolling his eyes at Unique's over-the-top personality, but the minute someone tries to hassle her, Sebastian would just be like, back the hell off my friend and leave her alone. I think he would have been a really good lead for the Lima side. I think he could have carried the show and made it more interesting.
Yeah, I could see that, because you know where I think they went wrong with Kitty? I think they tried to mix her with Quinn and Santana. This is an unpopular opinion also. People like her character. I hated her character. I felt like there was not even a need for her in all the way to season 6. I could not stand her character. She was racist. Mm-hmm. She was basically homophobic. I think she was homophobic, transphobic at one point. She's a terrible person who like encourages somebody to throw up their food so they can become anorexic, you know? Like that's some wild ish right there.
I don't think Kitty was compelling to watch.
Especially during that Britney episode where she was trying to like challenge Britney with like dancing and all that stuff. Again, nothing against Becca, but like she's not even all that great of a dancer either. She was okay. Like I guess her growth was okay. It wasn't like something. She's not the first character I think of when I think of Glee. Yeah, let's just put it like that. Yeah. So, but to me, she wasn't needed all the way through season 6.
I mean, when we think of Glee, we think of Finn, we think of Rachel, we think of those 2 cheerleaders. I don't think Kitty is an iconic Glee character. She's just sort of there. But in like defense of the character, and like, here's the thing: I love Santana so much. She's my favorite character. I love writing her. She said some racist, homophobic stuff too.
Yeah, this is true. I think every character on Glee has said something questionable. Cancel culture would have been the end of them if it was around, you know?
I think Glee created cancel culture. That's why we cancel.
Yeah, dead ass.
But yeah, like Santana, well, she said some really not cool things. And why is it that we can forgive Santana, but we can't forgive Kitty? That's what I'm wondering. It's like, do we forgive Santana those things because we see more of ourselves in Santana? We're more attracted to Santana? So, I don't know. I don't know why that is.
There's just something about a white girl that says stuff like that like hits me to my core. You know, like it's never a good look, I guess, because it feels like they're saying it from like a really hateful place.
Yeah, oh yeah, I get that. And I could see that.
I got an unpopular opinion that we're probably gonna rant this on, and I see this a lot. For Tana fans, y'all can get with me on this. This unpopular opinion says Santana was an awful person and literally the worst character on the show. I don't understand how anyone likes her.
I've said it before. She's my favorite character, and I want to believe if I were to step outside of myself and be subjective, I would still say she has the most character growth out of any Glee character, period. She goes from being an asshole, a little snot, and gradually learning to open up and be vulnerable to not just Brittany, but to the people around her that she considers friends, and she learns to love herself.
If anybody really needs to have proof of why she had so much growth, go back to season 5 when Rachel was doing her little sneaky stuff, trying to get a show before actually doing her Broadway show. And Santana stepped up and she didn't ask for anything in return. She was just being a good friend. She didn't have to do it, but she did it. If that's not growth, I don't know what is. And she didn't have to do it because of all the petty stuff that Rachel did leading up to that moment, you know, when Santana auditioned to be the understudy and Rachel went freaking ballistic for no apparent reason except for her own selfish ego, you know.
If Santana was a really horrible person, she would have not stepped in. She would have let Rachel just burn her career to the ground.
For real. I feel like if Santana really wanted to be petty, she would have called up that director dude from the Broadway show and been like, look, this is what Rachel's doing right now instead of being here. She lied to you, you know?
She's like a prickly character, and I get that, you know, it rubs people the wrong way, but I feel like a character doesn't have to be perfect in order for you to root for them. When I read a story or when I watch a movie or a TV show or whatever, I want the character to go through some sort of transformation, like through the piece of media. I don't want them starting with a certain mindset And then by the end of the show or the story or whatever, they're exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Like, you really sort of need something that is pushing your character forward. And often that's sort of like transformation. That's obstacles.
Yes.
As far as Santana goes, I feel like she went through a transformation. And that's what storytelling is all about. It's like taking your characters on a journey. I don't understand people who hate her.
It's not their favorite character, so they just see it through a different lens, so to speak, as we do.
Here's the thing. I don't understand how people can, like, watch a Santana scene and not be totally in love with the character.
Right. Like, there's no way you cannot be entertained every single time.
Yeah. And, like, I'm not even talking about her physical appearance, although, I mean, yeah, let's be real. But she is compelling.
And if people need any more proof of that, y'all need to look up some Brittana fics, because we have some talented-ass writers, and they know.
Unpopular opinion, but I kind of think Tina is awesome.
I agree with you on this one.
Yeah, the show turned her into somebody who was annoying at times, but I feel like, again, she had, like, great potential and possibility. I've written her into, like, some of my fics, and when I write her, I'm like, she is a delight to write. I don't understand why the writers on the show couldn't have, like, handled her with that kind of care, too.
They, like, deadass forgot about her, and, like, when they needed her, they just, like, butchered her character. And I'll hate them for the rest of my life for that.
Have you ever seen Family Guy?
Like, here and there, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, like, the character Meg?
Yes.
You know how all the characters are like, shut up, Meg. That's kind of like...
Tina.
That's Tina. Tina is the Meg Griffin of Glee. That's the way all the characters treat her. Like,
literally.
Like, shut up, Tina.
Season 6. You remember that scene when they all reunited and they forgot about her?
Do you remember that scene where it's like all the girls are in the classroom and Tina is telling Becky, or Tina is like giving Becky some like encouraging words, and then Brittany cuts in and she's like, why do you gotta make everything about you? Da, 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 da. I'm like, calm down, Brittany.
Deadass, I was like, whoa, shots fired.
I'm like, why are you attacking Tina like this? Dang, man. I feel like everybody was coming at Tina like season 3 onward.
She was going through it. And I feel like if they didn't put her through it, she probably would have had a better attitude.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, maybe Tina is like annoying and bitter, but that's probably because y'all are constantly telling her to shut up.
I refuse to believe that Tina would have hit on Blaine. Like, if it was in my universe, Tina she wouldn't. What is it with Tina and, like, hitting on gay men? I feel like that's not, like, a thing that she would really do.
In season, 1, when Mercedes has a little bit of a crush on Kurt, doesn't Tina and Rachel go up to her and they're like, girl.
Yeah. Like, because, you really don't see it?
So I feel like season 1 Tina is a little bit more grounded and she would be able to sense that, but then we cut to season 4 and I don't get that. Why was that? You know what that is? That is Glee writers thinking that the female characters can't stand on their own unless they're attached to a male character, be it a love interest or like, we don't know how to write Tina, so let's just make her Blaine's hag. That's what that is.
You said it perfectly.
The writers just didn't know how to let Tina stand on her own. So they're always like, well, let's make her friends with Sam. Because we don't know how to write women.
Season 4 to 5 with Tina, Blaine, and Sam was a mess. Tina was in love with Blaine. Blaine was in love with Sam. Sam ended up hooking up with Tina. Like, what is this?
That whole, like, trio. I was not a fan of it. However, I do like when Sam and Tina are like playing off of each other, like bantering and stuff. I did not like them making out. I like them as friends. I wanted to see more of that. Like, why did we have to have so much focus on Blaine and Sam? I don't know.
Because I feel like the writers were probably like, no, females and males can't be friends. There's no such thing.
Man, I swear to God, if I was a writer on Glee, all of the Glee girls would have gotten Emmys.
Deadass.
Like, yeah, we're talking about how the show hated on Tina, but I just want to say this. Jenna Ushkowitz is, like, she's always been beautiful, but she has had a glow up in the past few years, and oh my gosh, if you're not following her on Instagram, please do. She is gorgeous, and yes.
For real though, like, she's one of my motivations for working out, because homegirl has been putting it in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Her glow up is amazing, and I'm like, every time I see her, I'm just like, yes, Jenna, yes, we're rooting for you. You're doing the damn thing.
Yeah, and doesn't she have a Tony? I believe she has a Tony.
She does have a Tony.
So
she's out here thriving.
She is doing it. You know what? Glee didn't respect her, but I do.
We stan.
Yes, we stan one Tina Cohen Chang.
I'm reading this one. I don't know how you're going to feel about this. Quinn was one of the best written characters in the series.
I disagree. And to quote Mchale Visage, I'll tell you why. I think if you're reading fanfic, she is absolutely one of the best written characters. But on the show, no. Because fanfic writers, they explore her character, they explore her depth, and they get into her motivations, and that is compelling. But they barely gave her anything on the show. She had great possibility and potential.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn had a baby in season 1. Season 2, it was sort of like she forgot, and like she just sort of went back to her normal life. And then season 3, she had this weird, like a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of a crisis. Season 3 would have been a great opportunity to explore, I don't know if this is the right term, like postpartum, like storyline about how she has been affected by this thing that happened to her and she hasn't dealt with it properly. You know, it could have been like this whole storyline where it's like, last year I pretended like nothing happened and that didn't do me any good. I'm still feeling these things. I'm still dealing with this. And it would have been sort of like, you know, Emma's storyline of her just dealing with her OCD and all that. Not to equate them, but, you know, I feel like that could have been something for Quinn.
I always thought about that also, the whole postpartum thing.
Again, that was like, that storyline is like, it's so obvious and it's there and they just did not explore it.
Instead, they made her get hit by a car and be temporarily paralyzed.
I just rewatched that episode a couple days ago, and it's so stupid because, like, what is the point of it? You want to take your character on journeys. You want them to have some kind of transformation. What did Quinn learn by being in a wheelchair? Nothing.
I sometimes have a lot of feelings about Quinn, like her whole religious journey, and okay, I'm not the most religious person, but like her on and off thing, with God, I guess it is realistic. A person can have an on and off relationship with God and all that stuff, but that almost felt like a joke also. Like, it was like she went to God when it was convenient for her, you know? It wasn't like she was really on a journey to get back in touch with her religion, you know? You know what I mean? I wish they would have took it a little bit more serious and not bring in Teen Jesus, you know, to make it. Also, that relationship didn't go anywhere either.
And see, that's another, like, example of Glee not letting its female characters stand on their own 2 feet. It's like, okay, what do we do with Quinn? She's in a wheelchair. Instead of showing her, like, looking inside of herself and dealing with her feelings and overcoming this on her own, let's just throw a boy at her and have that storyline for like 2 episodes
and not let it go anywhere. We never even really established if they were even a couple. They just like kind of implied it.
In that episode where she's in a wheelchair, like the first one, she and Artie are hanging out. There's a couple scenes where like they're really cute together, especially when he's like rooting her on to like go up this really steep ramp. I attribute that, like the cuteness of it, to Kevin and Diana's real life friendship probably. But one thing that always bothered me about that episode is later on when they go to that skate park They skate, and then afterwards they have like a little heart-to-heart, and Artie is telling her, you need to be realistic about like your situation. And Quinn, like, I love Quinn. However, this was a bitchy move where she's like, you know what? I'm not like you. I'm not like them. I'm gonna be out of this wheelchair. She's like, really?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, Artie has his issues, but I'm like, ooh, Quinn, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
And the first time ever I saw that episode, I was like, okay, well, they're probably gonna circle back to this later near the end of the episode and have those two characters like resolve it or whatever. Just her like coming to him and being like, you know what? I still believe I'm gonna be walking again, but it wasn't cool for me to speak to you that way. And it never happened.
They never. Yeah, you know what? Did we ever see Artie's reaction to when she did walk on prom night?
You know what? We didn't, and we should have.
That would have been a great moment. That could have been the moment where they could have probably resolved everything, you know?
You know what would have been good? Afterwards, when she's dancing down in the crowds, if she would have like came up to him and like asked him for a dance, and they dance together and they talk and they sort of sorted out then.
Missed opportunities. Glee, damn it.
Okay, so here's my next unpopular opinion, and maybe it's unpopular, but it's a right opinion, and that is Kevin Mchale is the best male vocalist on the show.
Oh, I agree so much. Yes.
Everybody likes to say it's Darren Criss. No. The show, the writers, they didn't see Artie as leading man. Because of that, you know, they didn't give him the opportunity to shine like the way he could have.
You know, in the pilot episode where they said that they needed Finn because he was like a strong male lead, but before that, they did that little performance in the choir room. That alone showed Kevin's vocal range a little bit, and I'm like, how? You compare Artie and then Finn, I'm like, how could you say that Finn is like a strong male lead? Like, Artie definitely could have took his place.
Artie definitely has a better voice than Finn. I'm not a huge Finn fan. I love Corey.
Yes.
I'm not a huge Finn fan, but I will say I do think Finn's voice is unique. It's not the best, but sometimes it's not about being the best. It's being unique, and I do like his singing voice.
I like it. On some songs, he sounds really, really, really good.
Kevin Mchale, best male singer. And I think he sounds his best when he's singing with Santana or Mercedes.
If he wasn't in the wheelchair and he would have killed it on choreography, though, Kevin would have killed it.
Let's see. Thriller and Heads Will Roll when he is singing with Naya. Ugh.
They sound good on a lot of Michael Jackson songs.
Like, honestly, they're the only two people, plus Mercedes, who should have been singing Michael Jackson songs.
Oh, here's an unpopular opinion. Sam and Mercedes actually had the most mature relationship on the show and should have been endgame. Yeah, I agree with that. I like how at the end of season 6, it was really realistic to me. I don't know, that they weren't actually together at the end because Sam is still growing up, so he knew he couldn't be with her. You know how they implied that he's still dating other girls, but he keeps calling Mercedes. You know, that typical dude that still has growing up to do, but he knows he wants to be with said girl at the end of the rest of his life, you know? It's realistic.
I see a lot of people complain that Sam and Mercedes weren't, like, end game, and which I understand that, especially if you ship them, but I feel like, like you said, it was realistic that, you know what, some couples have different journeys, and it takes them a while to, like, find their way to each other.
Mercedes laid it out. She knew what she wanted, and she told Sam how she wanted it and what she wanted to do with her life, and he got it. He understood, and he knew that it wasn't their time yet. They knew. They both knew it wasn't their time yet. So I would like to think that along the line, a couple years from now, they're together. When
I write them in fics, they're together, or it's sort of implied, but yeah. I think they're super cute together.
They had a silly relationship also. Like, they knew how to be silly with each other. And there was moments where you saw that. I just read one and it's like, whoa.
Go for it.
Brittany and Santana had terrible chemistry and shouldn't have been together. Wait, before you give your opinion, do you want me to read what this person wrote?
Okay, go for it.
They said, I think Brittana was the worst couple on Glee. They weren't cute together, and the relationship only happened because Brittany and Santana were the only two queer women on the show. They had hardly anything in common, and they didn't really have good chemistry. I'm trying to see this as unbiased, because obviously we're Brittana fans, but I don't agree with that.
For people who, like, write shows or write books, or, you know, just write their own fiction or whatever, sometimes you sit down at your desk and you have an idea of what kind of story you want to tell, and you begin writing it. But midway in, it's like you go places where you didn't plan to go, and you have your characters say things that you didn't plan for them to say. It just happens organically, and those are, like, just sort of happy accidents. There's been some examples of that in Glee, and I think Brittana is one of them. Like, this avenue that maybe the show didn't really even plan to go down. Fans wanted it, and they saw an opportunity to tell a story, and so they went there, and they had two actresses that were just, like, friends in real life and had an ease and comfort with each other, and it worked out because, like, I think America, or the world, was ready for it. Like, there have been shows before Glee that showed two women in a relationship before, but I feel like Brittana is different because this was a network show and it was a family show, and so it appealed to a certain demographic. Families were sitting down to watch this show together, moms and dads and their kids, and to see two young women falling in love and being teenagers, and sometimes making mistakes. I think that was important. You know, Glee is not a perfect show, but it was important for its time. We have a lot of teen shows that have, like, young queer women now, and I feel like the reason we see that is because we had Brittana.
Yep, I agree with that.
It opened that door.
Well, obviously Brittana fans know this, but other fans from the show should know that the directors and the writers wrote it based off of Nia and Heather's friendship. They saw chemistry, so they put it on screen and they just kind of, like, elevated it, you know? When people say that they don't see chemistry between these two actresses, I'm like, how can you not? It's like, even before I even got in the fan base and I watched the show before I even got on Tumblr or anything, you know? I saw the chemistry. I was like, whoa, these two, it's like, they probably are really good friends in real life. Like,
yeah, and I wonder, like, say somebody else was cast as Santana, or somebody else was cast as Brittany, it's like, would we have got the storyline? So much of why Brittana came to be is because of Heather and Nia. And so I'm like, that's sort of an interesting little question to, like, ponder, is, like, if there were any two actresses, or if it was just Heather there, or if it was just Nia there, like, would those two characters still have the same kind of chemistry that would make the writers, like, explore that? We're just really lucky, you know, that it was Heather and Nia, and, you know, the stars aligned on that one.
We're lucky that Nia pushed hard for Brittana fandom.
So, speaking of just random Glee news, apparently Leah Mchale is pregnant.
Woo, Rachel Berry in 2020, just like the show. Except she's pregnant with her own baby.
It's a little bit eerie.
She planned it. She was like, you know what, I'm gonna get pregnant right now.
She's like, you know what, I'm gonna give the Glee fans what they want.
That's dope. Little Leah Mchale running around.
Imagine that baby crying. It would just it would sound like a vocal run or something.
It's weird seeing the Glee girls become mothers. Got Heather, Nia, and now Leah. Who else? Yeah, that's them.
Yeah, that's it. I feel like there was something else Glee related that happened in the news.
Today, Amber Riley was trending on Twitter because they're doing a live action of Hercules. And a lot of people are rooting for Amber Riley to be one of the... I've never watched Hercules, like, the animated movie fully, but they want Amber to be one of the paintings that sing out of the three women.
I've never seen.
They were like a little choir, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, I think they want her to be one of those women, because they were singing. They sang in that movie. So I feel like Amber is a really good fit for that. A lot of people are pushing for Amber to be casted. So hopefully it would be cool to see her in a Disney movie.
Yeah, speaking of Amber, I saw she made a little cameo in Todrick Hall's Quarantine album music video that he just, like, released a day or two ago.
Did she?
Yeah.
I still haven't checked that out. I'm gonna have to check it out now.
I was just like, hey, I didn't know they knew each other.
Didn't you watch his Wizard of Oz type thing?
Wait, did I?
Yeah, when I first introduced you to Todrick, you watched it. I don't know if you watched the full thing. She's also featured in his Disney themed Cell Block Tango. Amber plays Ursula, I think.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's like, they're tight.
Okay, me and Maythe we respect and really admire Todrick Hall's hustle, but at the same time, we talk a little.
My boy's extra.
We talk a little shit about him sometimes, but all out of love.
We talk a lot of shit.
But I think Todrick Hall knows how to, like, get things done and hustle, and I would love to see, like, a full-blown collab between them two. Like, imagine that.
You know what? He might get on my good side if he does that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really... Because him, he can sing.
Yeah.
If Todrick be getting on my nerves sometimes, but he can sing. So if he collabs with Amber, whew, that'd be out of here.
Oh, yeah.
That would probably put him on the level that he wants to be on.
Todrick, if you're listening, stop hanging out with Taylor Swift and do something with Amber.
Yeah, man, chill. We want to be fans.
Yeah.
Forever.
No. I enjoy Taylor Swift.
Yeah, me and Nicole got different views when it comes to Taylor Swift.
Okay, we're back on unpopular opinions. I think they should have done more Taylor Swift songs.
What was she singing during Glee era? Like, what were the songs that were out? We know Mine was out. Obviously, we know that one.
We're Never Getting Back Together, Red, You Belong With Me. Do you want me to pull up Taylor Swift songs?
Pull them up.
Really?
That era of Taylor Swift, that's when I really couldn't stand her. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, so, like, her music doesn't really get to me. Like, now, obviously, I can't really stand her too much either, but she has some dope songs out. Like, I can get with some of them. If Glee was on now, some of the songs that she was singing, like, I can see some of the Glee girls singing them.
I would have loved if Quinn and Brittany sang some Taylor. I feel like, here's the thing, you don't have to have a great voice to sing Taylor. You can just have, like, a basic white girl voice. And, like... And so it would have suited Quinn and Brittany.
Definitely Quinn, for sure. What's that one song that Taylor did? Oh, Bad Blood? Santana and Rachel?
Oh my gosh! Yes.
The ultimate frenemies type song right there.
Oh, man. Didn't she have another big song from that album?
I don't know, but I just got a thought in my head of Rachel singing "Look What You Made Me Do" and aiming it at Santana.
She would.
Dang, they should have sang a lot. You're right. I don't even like Taylor Swift like that, but I feel like a lot of the Glee characters could have sang a lot of... I mean, I'm surprised they didn't. At that time, she was, like, really popping.
We're sort of getting to the behind the scenes a little bit, but wasn't Taylor and, like, Diana, weren't they, like, pals for, like, a second?
Oh, you're right. They were.
And there's even, like, some conspiracy theorists in the fandom who think Taylor and Diana were together or something.
I never heard of that one.
No?
For real?
Yeah.
There's really that was that rumor?
Oh yeah.
What? I've been reading the wrong conspiracy theories then.
I'm not gonna get into it here, but yes.
Wow, I gotta look that up later.
Here's an unpopular Glee opinion. This is where me and you differ, but I've said this before. I actually like season 4's Diva. I think it's cute.
I don't like it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I like when the girls sing. Boys are just have boring whatever voices, but anytime the girls sing and it's a big girl number, I'm like, yes, all for it.
I mean, I'm all for that too, but when it comes to a Beyonce song, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when you give those two.
True.
And like, I love Brittany, I love Heather, but I feel like they run with the whole, she was Beyonce's backup dancer thing, and they gave her Run the World to sing in season 3, and I was like, why? Why did y'all give her that song to sing?
That's not her, like, best vocal performance, but her dancing,
Fire.
Yes.
Fire. But the singing.
Yeah. But in that scene where her and, like, the background Cheerios are, like, dancing in the hallways, yeah.
I agree with you on that. And during, like, the diva number itself was cool. Like, the whole runway thing. I don't know why they put Darren in there because he wanted to be a diva or whatever. But, cool. Not so much about the singing.
That's the episode where Santana sang a lot. What songs did she sing in that one? She sang Girl on Fire, Nutbush, City Limits.
Can we talk about that number for a minute? That's such an underrated performance, Santana performance. I feel like nobody really talked about Nutbush City Limits. I love that performance so much. Yeah. I don't know if it's Naya. Okay, look. Naya's my girl crush. I'm just, everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Her dancing in that number is beautiful. It's just beautiful. She didn't have to go hard, but she did. She went hard. Vocals, dancing, everything. Yeah, I know everybody saw Heather's reacting, because that was real life reacting when she was clutching her chest. That was me when I first saw the performance. I was clutching my chest and everything. I was like, oh, yes, Naya. Yes.
But yeah, she sang, okay, in Diva, she sang Girl on Fire, Nutbush City Limits.
She's Mine, right?
Make No Mistake, She's Mine, yes.
That was good. That was a good duet.
Yeah.
Can't lie.
I mean, her part's amazing. Again, I like Sam. I think Sam/Cord has a pretty good voice. She overshadows him.
He liked emotion. I felt emotion from her. It was just like a whatever to him almost type of thing.
Yeah, it was like if a piece of bread like started singing, it was like that. It was like bland.
Yeah, another, I don't know, unpopular opinion. I hate when he sang the song Billionaire when he first, like, showed up to the Glee Club.
Well, the thing is, I don't like the original song, so I don't really like his cover.
I feel like the next episode we should just, like, narrow down which Glee songs we like.
Oh, yeah, we need to do that.
Because I could be here forever, just which ones I liked and which ones I hated.
Alright, so I think that's going to be it for today. And do you have anything you want to tell the fandom, Maythe?
Stay safe, you know? If y'all need somebody to talk to, literally, my DMs on Tumblr and IG are always open. I might not always know what to say, but I will send you some funny memes to get y'all in a better mood. So just hang in there, and yeah, we got this.
Same. Y'all guys try to stay safe. I know a lot of places are beginning to reopen. It's your decision. But just be careful going out there. I want all of y'all to make it to the other side of this. And again, if any Brittana fans are listening and you're like essential workers, just know that I am like right there with you. I'm doing it every day and it's some stress. And so I feel you and I'm with you and I want you to make it through this. So I hope y'all had some laughs and Come yell at us in our DMs. Distract us.
For sure.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Bye.